One of the things that I struggle the most is the model. How do I keep it all in model? Not everything moves at the same time, right? So there is a little bit of delay on some parts of the body. I usually do like pose to pose as well, depending on the shot. But also for this one, I kind of wanted to do it like more organic.
Hi, David. Thank you very much for being here to talk about animation.
I'm very excited. First time that I do something like this, very excited to be here. So I'm very happy to talk to you. Like usually I mentioned, like I see you only in YouTube videos. So now I'm very happy that.
I'm also happy to talk with you because just for context, we talked via Instagram and we share regularly what you do on the Callipeg page. So I'm not sure when it started. I guess it was the flying character, like the jetpack, but I'm not sure if it was your first or not.
No, that was not my first. My first, actually, maybe you saw it. Like there's like a hand animation like this. I posted it. Actually, like there's a little text that I put like made in Callipeg. The first time that I have an iPad is the first time that I use something like an app, like an animation app in iPad. So I was actually very excited. So I animated that thing. I was just having my hand here on the side and then animating it on iPad. So that was the very first test that I did. So yeah, that's why I even put the text. So yeah, that was the very first one. So my name is David. I am an animator. I am originally from Mexico, but I live in Canada right now. I'm working here in the animation industry. I've been in the animation industry for about like 10 to 13 years. It's been a long time already. So I do 2D animation and also I do 3D animation.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point of my career, I'm actually focusing a little bit more in 3D animation. It's just like I like to try different mediums. I want to get into like cinematics, video games, and features and all that. But that doesn't mean that I don't do 2D animation anymore, right? So sometimes I like to go back and revisit 2D. Sometimes, let's say I get contacted by some companies or some project that they are like doing some like cinematic for like a video game in 2D or something. And I usually like to join them as a freelance animator.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to keep challenging myself, to keep fresh I work for different productions, series, movies, a couple of movies. But yeah, I like to do 2D animation because it is something that I can use as a base. Sometime if I want to animate something personal in 3D where I have to like animate something a little bit more cartoony, and then I have to come up with some ideas. I can go back to the animation and do some rough animation, some ideas, work on the timing and the spacing of things and the performance. And then I can use that rough animation into my 3D workflow, which is something that I really like to complement.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so in love with 2D animation, so I'm never going to leave it. And now that I found out about this app, that Callipeg and everything is so easy to be working, like wherever you want. It's just like, I want to just keep doing it forever. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So you started with 2D animation and then made a switch in a way to 3D?
Yeah. Actually, well, I started in 2D animation. I've been doing 2D animation for like maybe 8 to 9 years. Like that's the way I started. And then very recently, I think like actually during the pandemic, I did the switch to 3D because it was something that I was very interested in as well. At some point, I wanted to do 3D. But it's actually very funny because since I was very young, I got interested in animation because of Toy Story, the first movie. So that's 3D animation, right? So I'm like, oh, that would be very nice to do that. But then I remember someone telling me at the time, like, oh, if you want to get into 3D animation, you have to know the basics of 2D animation. So okay, I want to start with 2D animation then. So I started like, learning, practicing. And I just as you mentioned before, I am self-taught as well. I think that some people that you interview mentioned they are self-taught. So I'm actually very happy. There is a lot of like self-taught people. So that's very cool. So I started in 2D animation, learning all these basics. At some point, I moved into 3D. But the funny thing of 2D animation, I learned on my own, but I learned backwards. It's kind of like I learned not the proper way. I learned the opposite way, I would say. So usually, I think that when people go to school to learn animation, they learn, how to animate the bouncing ball and, traditional way, like frame by frame, spacing, timing, squash and stretch and all that. That's the right way to animate. And then after that, you can go animate cutout or, using rigs or using 3D or something like that. In my case I found some tutorials on the internet when I was a kid. and I was like following the tutorials, but they were animating something in cutout in Flash. I was following that, and that's how I started learning animation. But I didn't know the basics. I didn't know, timing, spacing. I didn't know anything of that. I was just following what the guy was doing in the video.
Yeah.
So then eventually it started kicking in, like, oh, like some of the things that I started finding on internet, like timing, spacing, how to apply this, how to apply that. So it's like I learned the opposite way, but I already reconstructed it the right way. So yeah.
I think it's good to mix a bit of the way of learning, because if you start only with okay, I will have to make some bouncing balls like heavy, light, and so on. It can be fun to do, but it's a bit more academic in a way. So
Yeah.
when you start, you can also say, I want to make my character jump from a building, and then you see how it's difficult and how you have to make it some small parts. And I think it's nice also to have bigger projects that you should do, just to know the difficulties, and then being able to learn what you need to do that particular shot, for example.
Yeah. 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 Actually, once you start something and then you start seeing the things that you still need to improve or something like that, that's the way you improve, right? Like when you are doing your own projects.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I know I need to keep working on this. I need to keep improving this. So yeah, I think that's the only way you get to improve when you are in a difficult situation, right? So like you have
Exactly.
to, learn something on the way. So yeah, that's basically the way I've been learning. But yeah, same in 2D. In 2D, I was having those times where I was learning, and then I was having difficulties to learn or practice some things, and also the same thing in 3D because it was like a new journey for me.
Mm.
So basically, same thing, but it's something that I really like actually. Like that process of learning something and knowing that you're actually improving on the way is very nice. I really like that.
About Callipeg itself, how did you discover it, and what made you want to test at first?
Yeah, because I'm so used to like working in my computer. I have my setup here, but I cannot really move around. I have to come here, work here, and this is the way I have to stay here, right? I don't know. I was like wondering once. I was like, I mean, it would be nice if I can animate somewhere else. I have never used an iPad. I didn't have an iPad at the time. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I buy one. Would be nice to get one, and maybe if it is possible, maybe I can install some app and animate, in my bed or in the kitchen table or in the library or whatever I want to be. So I was like just curious, and then I went into YouTube and I was like searching for apps, just to see, the best apps for iPad. But the apps that I was seeing were like a little simple. It's kind of like it feels more like just to spend some time and have fun, but not like a serious app. I don't know. So I was like, I don't know if I want to try that. Then later I found about Callipeg. I think actually I saw one of your videos like explaining, and there's like a 1 hour long video explaining every
Yeah.
single tool. So I'm like, oh, that's actually very cool. I was watching everything. I watched everything. And I think that I watched it at the time in French because at the time I was learning French. So like, this is cool. I want to combine animation and French. I want to learn animation. I want to learn French. I want to just do it all together. So I watched it and I was like, this app is actually very cool. And also the interface looks very familiar. Like I come from Toon Boom, Flash, and Callipeg looks it's like a simpler version, I would say, but it's like very, very familiar. It has the layers, it has, the tools on the side, it have everything at hand, whatever you need, it is there. It also has, I was actually very impressed that it also has like transformation and also motion tween stuff like that, yeah, translations and stuff. So, this is actually like a Toon Boom in my iPad. That's very cool. I started using it, and I did the first thing that I animated was like a hand doing something like this,
Mhm.
and I loved it. Since then, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my app. This is what I want to use. I don't want to research for anything else. This is what I want to use. So yeah, I've been using it since then. From time to time, if there is like a quick idea that I want to try, I just go there to iPad using Callipeg, and I just do it. One thing that I noticed, something that works for me, is like, for example, like when I animate in iPad, sometimes I am so used to like using my keyboard to go back and forth very quickly and stuff like that. I really like to feel keys on my hands, like just to move around very quickly. And I know that Callipeg has like very cool options to move around, and also you have the option of having like an iPhone and then kind of like
With Callipeg.
move your frames and all that. That's very cool. But I feel like I am very used to having keys.
Mhm.
So the first thing, actually, very recently, I started using my keyboard, connecting it to my iPad, and I animate a lot faster. And I'm like, oh man, I
Yeah.
think I'm not going to use my computer anymore. I'm going to just animate in iPad forever. I don't know.
Once you have keyboards and shortcuts, it becomes like a second nature to just
Yeah,
go quick like this.
yeah,
And we also
yeah.
work on that for Callipeg Studio, which will be coming in this year, 2026, for
Oh,
the
that's very
computer.
cool.
So we have to think about stylus, mouse, and also the keyboard. So it's
Yeah, yeah.
can be difficult to know what should go where, but yeah, it's coming good right now. And what is your like your go-to way to work on a shot? Do you note some ideas you want to animate later? Do you just start with a sketch and you will see how it goes?
Sometimes I don't really have a lot of planning. I know that I should have planning, to be honest.
Mm.
But sometimes it's just like I have like a quick idea, like, or the feeling that I want to animate something just to practice or just to just get a quick rough idea that I have. Like, for example, one of my latest shots was like a cat running around. So yeah, basically bounce a ball, and then I created a quick character, and then I tried to translate all the motion from the bouncing ball into an actual character, and then that's kind of the way I do it. The first thing that I did was like, okay, I want to just do something like this, right? So this is the
Okay.
first idea that I had, just like a very quick bouncing ball. I want to have something running and then jumping and then leaving the screen, right? So that's kind of like the first idea that I had.
And just for people that are more beginners, that's a nice exercise to do because when we talk about bouncing balls, it can be the classic bouncing, like really physical gravity of it. But you can also do that kind of shot where you make it alive with like poses and decision making, if even if it's just a small shape. So we can see here that it stops and then it's almost looking around before jumping. So that's a nice exercise. If someone wants
Yeah.
to train with like acting without any face, any arms and legs.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The bouncing ball is actually the principle. You know how to time that and also the spacing and everything. Everything comes from there.
Mm.
But also, actually, for the bouncing ball, I did some planning before doing that as well. So it's kind of like if I go here. So I did this as well. It's kind of like,
Okay.
well, this is a mess. I only understand this. I want to do a bouncing ball, but I need to think of the trajectory of the bouncing ball too, right? So it's like starts here, then jumps here, and then there's a jump here, and then goes back, then goes here again, and then leaves the screen. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like the idea that I had in my head, that's kind of the trajectory, and then I just have it as a guide. But then after that, I should be able to do this one, because I already had the planning.
Mhm.
And then once I have that, I started thinking about how that is going to be translated into a character. So actually, the first thing that I did here was like a quick model, which is this one. So I
Mhm.
did this, this little character. I'm just going to do like a quick character, and I put this one. Oh yeah, I put this one here because this is going to be like facing this side, so I need to use it as a reference for the beginning. And then the other one is going to be facing the other side, which is going to be this one. So I need to use it as a reference to see how to keep everything on model, right?
So the length of this rough animation is different than the bouncing ball you did first because there is many like arms movement and so on. So you had to adjust the timing.
Yeah, I have to adjust it actually. So the bouncing ball is like, like very quickly and it almost doesn't stop.
Mm.
And then once I get into the rough animation, I have to retime things, right? Like it starts like almost the same as the bouncing ball. And then when it jumps, maybe I hold it a little longer. When it lands, I hold it a little longer as well. Then it goes back and then go back again and then jump and hold it a little longer and then leave.
Mm.
So yeah, if you see it compared, here is not the same.
And so in the process video, I think we can see that you do it almost straight ahead. Like you don't really put keys, which is
Yeah.
impressive actually.
Actually, yeah, like I usually do like pose to pose as well, depending on the shot. But also for this one, I kind of wanted to do it like more organic.
Mm.
Sometimes it is easier in some parts of the animation to do it like straight ahead, and then just go pose to pose. For example, in the beginning, this is like straight ahead, and then here I created this pose. So from here to here, it's pose to pose, right? So I can actually create an in between here, so it's easier. And then from here to here, I think it's also pose to pose. So I just have to find in betweens from here to here. Yeah, mostly it's a combination. And then here, like also like straight ahead, because I have to kind of like move the legs a little more. So I have to kind of find out how to do that. So yeah, like pose, pose. I have to find the in betweens here. Another pose to pose, and I have to find the in betweens. But yeah, I think yeah, this one is straight ahead because it is easier for me to just go straight ahead like this. So yeah, I think that I do a combination. I do
There's
a
a lot of
combination, so whatever it makes sense to do it.
and there's a lot of detail also in so the design is simple, but the volume is good enough to be animated because it's also a challenge in character design to have
Yeah,
something like this. So here you didn't even have to make it to make a turnaround or something like this because you're used to drawing models.
yeah. Actually, that's the thing. It's like that. That's why whenever I have an idea, it's like, okay, I want to just do it.
Mm.
You know, I don't really plan everything perfectly. It's like, oh, I have to do the turnaround, and then I have to do everything. Actually, there are some drawings here that I don't like.
Okay.
But like because everything is moving, it's like okay, well, the
Yeah.
eye doesn't really catch it. So, but yeah, it would be nice to actually have a turnaround and see how everything looks. That would be the proper way of doing it. But yeah, sometimes it's just like I just do it. This is the only thing that I did actually. This is the only drawing that I did, the model, and then from there I just started doing my animation. But yeah, that's basically what I have. And also, like for example, I have other projects as well. Like as I was mentioning to you, like this is another test that I did. So this is 3D animation. So it's kind of nice because as I mentioned, I can complement 3D with 2D. So I like to combine some things. For this one, I think this one probably my second test in Callipeg,
Okay.
where I wanted to just try a little bit and add this like smears.
Oh, okay.
So like if you see it here, it's kind of like I did this in 3D, and then I do the smear.
Yeah, because 2D animation is not only character animation. You can also add FX on
Yeah,
over a 3D animation, or you can also make FX over a video if you want to. Like I don't know, you're running and you just add flames, so that you can play with 2D animation even without drawing characters. And that's something. So sometimes when you begin, you don't know that 2D animation is not only character. You have many different
yeah,
parts of 2D animation. So even if
yeah.
you don't enjoy 2D animation with characters, you can start and play with other things also.
Exactly. Yeah. You can just play with other things and combine it. So yeah, it was actually very nice that I can do this in Callipeg. But yeah, like but like from time to time, I like to test out some things. This is the first one that I did. Like you can even see, like I put like made in Callipeg.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, it was actually a long time ago, like 2 years, I think. Yeah, it's been a while. And also, like I see all the improvements that you guys are doing in Callipeg, and it's actually very useful. There's one thing that I really like that you did in Callipeg. I'm not really sure if this is something that was from the very beginning
Mm.
or if it is like a new feature, where when I am using the onion skin, you see the one before and after, but then you can actually manipulate the onion skin, to kind of like move it around a bit.
The Out of Pegs is a few years old now, I guess, but we recently added the in-between assist, make them together, and then you can choose the place of it without
Yeah,
transforming
that
really
that's super
your drawing.
useful. That's very useful. I don't remember if it was there before, but that's very very useful because sometimes like the drawings are very far apart, and then you
Yeah.
need to find the in between. So like it's super super useful. I love that. I love that actually.
Keeping the model is the most difficult part. Like you
Yeah,
just understand little by little that you don't draw well enough when you do 2D animation. You're like, okay, this pose is great, but then it's just a mess, and you have to work
exactly.
on it again. And it's fun in a way, but it's also
Mm.
difficult.
So this is another thing that I did. Like this is actually the very first thing that I animated. Like as I was mentioning to you, it's just like so to do something quick. I was doing this with my hand, and I was like looking at on the side, and then I was animating it.
Could we maybe decompose it a bit just to understand more about how it works? Because I see also some changes in the there is life also in the palm itself. Palm, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like moving organically like this. It's interesting.
So yeah, this is kind of like the way I started it. So this is the rough animation. So I was doing it just like, again, as I said, like just following my hand. I was doing this pose, this pose, this pose, this pose, and I was like doing like a very quick rough animation. Like, not super clean. It's just like to understand the motion and a little bit of the general shape of the hand that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And this is actually something that I really like about Callipeg, because it's like, okay, like all my I can use layers. To me as a animator that works with this kind of software, like it translates very easily here. After the rough animation that I did here, I did the clean line, which is this. So basically just cleaning the model. And then I added the color. And then I added some shade. And then
I love the red pink part, like the shadow you added under the fingers, because it adds some warm
some
feeling.
volume, right? Like some, yeah. And I also like the texture that you guys put in the pencil. It actually looks like a pen, like an actual pencil. So I really love that.
How long do you think it take to make this particular exercise?
Yeah, this one I actually did it very quickly. So because the thing is that first I started with only the rough. So to do the rough, I think that it took me. I think I just did it. After work, I was like feeling inspired or something, and I think that I did it in like maybe 3 hours or something like that.
Okay.
Just that, just the rough, like very, very, very not clean, anything like that. And I think that the next day I started like cleaning it. Took me like another couple hours, because it takes a little longer when you have to clean, because you have to put more detail and more attention. And maybe if the model is not very clean in the rough animation, you have to kind of interpret that model
Yeah.
to make it like more model model. Like everything makes sense.
And not too clean, because the issue I have often is that my clean animation is less lively, and I'm like, I want to do
Yeah.
again my cleaning just to make it a bit more messy, and it's difficult to have that vibration in the line without being too much rough.
Yeah. That's something that I struggle to. Like I just want to keep it nice. Sometimes just as you said, like sometimes I like my rough, but then when I start cleaning it, it's like, it doesn't look the same. The idea that I had
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
really look the same. It's just the animator struggle, I guess.
I never met anyone who doesn't have this problem. It's everybody
Exactly.
making 2D animation, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was actually very fun to make. It's just like, yeah, rough animation takes kind of quickly. Then like the cleaning process is a little slower, and then the coloring actually, I think it's it takes a little bit of time as well, because I wanted to color it like by hand, not like using the bucket. So yeah, it takes a little bit of time to do that as well, depending on how many drawings you have. So you have to do that in every single one of them. But yeah, this was actually a very fun exercise. This was the very first one. It's the one that started me with Callipeg. So yeah, since then I'm like, okay, yeah, I love this app. I really like it.
You animate always on twos, I guess sometimes on ones, but you don't do animation like on threes or fours, like
Yeah.
more snappy animation maybe.
No, actually, sometimes I like to do it on ones just to make it look like very smooth. But I don't do it at work. I have to combine. I do it mostly on twos.
Okay.
That's the standard, I would say. But then sometimes it can be on threes or fours, depending. This one you can see like have ones. I have combined. I have ones. I have twos. I have threes. And just to you don't have to be like redrawing every single thing. So you can just like play a little bit with the spacing and the timing, and you can actually save a little bit of time. So for this one was actually the very reason I got an iPad and Callipeg. because as I was mentioning to you, I was like, okay, that would be nice to not just be stuck in my computer,
Yeah.
here in my house or in the office. I want to actually go out and animate or something like that without having to actually bring something heavy, like something simple, animate. I went on a trip. I was in the airplane and I brought my iPad with me and I was animating this in the airplane. This was just a test that I did as well. I was just doing it. Actually, it was like a very long trip. It was like 16 hours flight. This kept me very not bored. Like usually
Mm.
long trips are like very, very boring. And then
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do? So this one kept me very, very active. So I was doing this in the airplane. I'm like, well, you know what? I like it. You can just animate anywhere. I was in the airplane animating this.
That's a nice example of how you can make a simple action very lively because you added like a pressure on it and there is kind of a bouncing of the pupil also.
Yeah.
So it's pretty complex for like a blinking. It's intense.
Yeah. Just like separating things, like in animation, things don't have to move the same way.
Mm.
Sometimes you create like a key A, key B, and then like you try to do the in-betweens and then everything moves. Let's say this is the eyebrow, this is the eye. So sometimes if you go down, like everything moves at the same time, but then it has to be like, first the eye and then the eyebrow and then the eye and then the eyebrow. This kind of, you have to start playing,
Yeah.
separating things around so that everything looks a little bit more organic. Because not everything moves at the same time, right? So there is a little bit of delay on some parts of the
Mm.
body.
You divide it into different layers, or you use one layer for the rough, and you do the delay like by hand.
Oh, for the rough animation?
Yeah. Do you divide even in the rough animation like you do one for the eyebrow and one for the eye itself, or it's just one layer and you just draw the right pose?
Oh, it depends. But for this one, for example, I think that I did all the rough, all together, like all the
Okay.
eye and the eyebrow, everything all together. But there are things that make sense to have different layers. For example, this is something that I kind of struggle sometimes in 2D animation because it's like, for example, the body is doing a lot of things, but then the head has its own animation,
Mm.
and maybe the head is doing something different, but the body is like doing some crazy stuff. So like it's very hard to keep track of the body doing a lot of things and then the head doing like a different thing. So that would make sense for me to create a new layer for the head, and then the body has its own animation, and then the head just like another layer, and then do like a different thing.
Mm.
So it is easier for me to track the motion of things.
Okay.
And this is something that I can do in 3D very easily. Like I don't really
Yeah.
have to worry about that. So like, okay, the head is like a whole separate thing to animate it in a different way, and the body do it different. But like sometime when I'm doing rough of that same idea, it's like, okay, how do I do it? Do I do it all in one layer or do I separate things? And yeah, so it's kind of like you have to plan these things ahead.
Mm.
So it is easier for you to move around a little more.
And so you use animation charts also on every shot, or just sometimes like the um, planning of in between and ease in, ease out? Because I see that you have the charts here, but you didn't have on the cat, for example.
Oh, yeah, for this one, I use them just, sometimes when I animate, I don't really use the timing charts.
Mm.
I just go by, like just by feeling. I see the timing and I just do it by feeling because I kind of I mean I have the timing charts in my head, right? So it's kind of
Mhm.
like I have it by feeling. Here I just wanted to just to have it more in a graphical way, just to see how I can read it and all that. But to be honest, I don't really need it. I think that the timing chart is actually good to have it when you are working as a team. For example, like there's the one that is going to be the rough animation, and then you do the tie down, just not a super clean version, but like just a little cleaner than the rough.
Mm.
And then I think I have seen some people, they put time charts because then that tie down is going to be passed to the cleaning team, and then they have to know what the timing of your animation is, right?
Mhm. Yeah, for
So
for
yeah,
solo animation, it doesn't make as much sense. Yeah.
yeah. If it is for myself, I don't really need it. But if I have to actually pass that to someone else and they kind of want to understand a little bit of the timing whenever
Mhm.
they are doing the cleaning process. So I think that's the reason they put it there.
Okay.
But yeah, in my case, I didn't do it. And also, I don't know, I just wanted to try to see how it looks. But I mean, yeah, I don't really need it for myself. This is where I was actually testing. I think that this is the heaviest shot that I have. It not doesn't do much,
75
but
layers, I see.
yeah, so many. Yeah, 75. So the first thing, the thing that I wanted to try here was animating hair and all the rough and all that, but also because I knew that Callipeg had transformation layers and all that, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I mean, because I have seen apps where they only have the rough part. You can do drawings, you can create keys, and that's it, but you cannot add anything else.
Mm.
So yeah, for what I did this in the background, it's like very simple background, but I was kind of like experimenting a little bit with the interpolations and all that. And that was actually a very cool thing. Like you can actually create this motion on top of your animation. And yeah, so that's actually a very cool feature that you guys have in Callipeg. So I really
So
like that as well.
you made the cloud on different layers, I guess, and then used it to make the pan with the transformation.
This is my rough actually, like very, very simple. It's kind of like the idea. The hair is not even moving. I think that the hair I did it like after. Well, actually, for this one, for the character, I actually did like some planning. I think like I did like some research. I found some references, and I kind of created like a character on my own, based on those references, and I kind of created the design. I think it was the heaviest project that I have here in Callipeg. So here for my whole character, it's kind of like start like slow, and then it ends quick. So that's kind of like that's for the character. I have for the background as well. Yeah, it's kind of like the scenario. It kind of goes a little bit to the side, and then it goes back. I have to get used to the curves here in Callipeg. I don't really use them that much, but it's actually very useful. And the cool thing is that it looks like what I see in 3D, because I have the graph editor, and it's kind of like I see the curves and I see everything divided by I have like translation X, Y, Z, and then all of that. And I really like that Callipeg has the same thing on the side. So it's very cool to see that I can have a little bit more control with in the individual axis. So it's very, very cool to do that.
You had to make a shot larger than your final video. So what is the size of like the clouds in here? Because since you can't import like really long clouds, you had to make them smaller, and then you just zoomed in.
Yeah, so I just made them a little larger just to to be able to have room to make it like smaller or bigger if I want to, so nothing comes out of the frame that I have. So yeah, that's something that I have to think whenever I want to do those type of motions. I have to think about the size.
You didn't see any like a quality loss when zooming in. It was okay because I know it's still pixel. So
yeah, no, the quality was actually very good. So
okay,
yeah,
nice.
it just depends on the resolution that you choose. Callipeg has so many things that you can play around. It's like super cool. I like it.
I like it too, obviously, because it's we try to make the tool we want to use. So it's nice that we still want to use Callipeg when making it.
Yeah, actually, one interesting thing is like, well, you are an animator. And
Yeah,
also,
I do my short films. I never worked in a studio, but I do my different short films using Callipeg and Blender. Also, I mix 2D and 3D. So
oh wow, you have not worked in a studio, but I mean, you created Callipeg. That's actually very cool.
yeah,
That
we
you
try
guys
to do
created
our own
like this app
productions,
and all.
but yeah, I have I'm working on a new short now, which will combine 2D and 3D, and I'm writing some other story that I want to make after. So in a few years, I already have a new idea for a short, or even maybe a series. I'm not sure how the story will develop, but we try
very nice.
to make it within the team and so on.
And all of it in Callipeg, or like the 2D part in Callipeg.
Yeah, that's the goal. Just to keep using it the most we can, and also I just like I enjoy the tool we made. So it's a nice yeah. It's I know I'm not objective, but I like the tool we make. So it's cool.
Yeah, no, that's very cool actually. And one thing that I like about Callipeg is like, it was made by, 2D animators. So it's like you understand the things that a 2D animator needs, right? So like it's not
Yeah,
like,
we know
what
the
is this tool?
struggles.
Like this lesson. Yeah. You know the struggle. So you created something that actually works for
Mhm.
the people in the industry. So yeah, I'm actually very impressed that you said that you haven't worked on a production, because I mean, yeah, you're doing like a very cool work.
Oh, thank
And
you.
also, yeah, I mean, the Callipeg app, and I'm like, wow, this is such a cool thing, like very useful for many people. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm waiting for the next update. I don't really know what you guys are going to, what else are going to put in Callipeg, but I mean, I'm waiting
Oh, the
for
next
whatever you
big
script.
step, the next big step is Callipeg Studio being on macOS and Windows, and then we want to like make it uniformed in a way, just that the new interface of the studio will be also on tablets, and then we want to add like a better brush engine and also a camera layer in some way, FX layer. So that's a lot of stuff. For now, we didn't started to put the block for that, but we already have some ideas and designs in mind. So the years to come are going to be full of features, because for now it's most of the time is about getting to computers, but then it will be features along the way.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, no, that's super cool, super cool, actually.
And maybe we can go to the flying one. In a way, it's kind of similar to the cat animation. Like it's a
Yeah,
bouncing character with many movement on the arms and legs.
yeah, it was exactly the same thing. I had like a very random idea, and okay, I just want to do like something moving like this and that,
Mhm.
and the timing, and then fast hold and then leave. It's kind of like that, just like a very random idea. So this is the rough that I did for that, like a very quick rough. And again, when I did that, I just knew that it was like a kid or like a character, but I didn't really have the design in my head yet. It's just like it's just going to fly. That's
Mhm.
what I want, just like a character is going to fly. I don't really know how it looks exactly, but then that's not the right way of working. But I mean, that's how I do it sometimes.
Well, for
So I
personal
have that
project,
idea.
it's fine to just
Yeah,
go and have fun.
yeah. For personal project, you can just have fun, experiment, and all that. And then once I have that animation, I start thinking about the design, and then I start cleaning it a little bit. So for that,
And I'm just curious to know how you how you feel the animation to know the correct timing. Do you have like the music of it in your head? Because I know when I do animation, I kind of hear the
mm,
the like the sound effect of it, so I
yeah,
know if it's on point or not. And I guess other animators has kind of the same thing.
yeah, it's something similar actually. I
Mm.
do something similar. Like sometimes I think about the sound, or sometimes I just play with my hand. It's kind of like
Mm.
fast, hold, go. Fast.
So you have to feed it in a way.
Yeah, I have to feel it, and I have to, sometimes I just do like a ball or something like that, and I just there's something that I do. Like, sometimes I go straight ahead just to see, like, but it's not that I want to be animating everything straight ahead. It's just like to feel the motion, and then after that I do proper pose to pose.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, mostly it's like that, that sound that you mentioned, like some music or something like that, or like just with my hand, like fast, hold, then leave.
Mm.
And that's
Okay.
kind of like the idea that I do. But sometimes if you do everything post to post, like you can get lost in the timing. It's like you,
Mm.
you don't really know how the timing is going to work sometimes. That's why sometimes I like to do like a combination between, like straight ahead, some post to post. The post to post, I usually do it when one post is very close to another one, and then I want to create in betweens to get into that one. That's
Mm.
when I use post to post. This is straight ahead. So from here to here, straight ahead, and then from here to here, this is post to post. So this is one post, this is another one, and then here I just created the in betweens.
Okay.
So basically, the fast action I do a little bit straight ahead. Then from here to here, this is post to post, and then I just trying to find the in betweens. So yeah, basically I cleaned my rough, and I had like a quick idea of my character, so I created that, and then after that I added some hair, the hair, I do it like in a separate layer so that I can make the interaction, right? So it's kind of like a secondary animation. Again, if I do it all together in the same layer, that's when I can get lost.
Mm.
And oh, how
If
is
you want
this
to
going to
change
move?
something, it's a bit more difficult.
Yeah, and also, you have that ability to, like, if you want to delete everything on the hair, you can just delete the layer, or if you want to erase something, you don't have to worry that you're going to be erasing other parts of the body.
Yeah.
So you're just going to be erasing the hair. And then, I keep adding other details, like, the little fire or something like that.
Are you used
And
to make 2D FX also? Do you make like explosions and water, and do you feel comfortable with
no,
that, or not really?
no, not really. I have
Okay.
done that before, but like just for personal projects, but like not much. I think that I like more, the animation of the characters,
Mm.
character animation, performance, and all that. But I feel like to the for effects animation, I don't really know. I think that this is like a very different mindset.
Yeah.
Like I have some friends that they are actually very good, like to the effects animators. And I don't even know how they actually think about everything, because
Mm.
sometimes they do like a cool explosion with different colors and everything, the smoke and the fire part and some
Yeah,
other
it's really
elements.
a
And then, like, I
different
don't even know
mindset.
how they think. Yeah, that's so like a whole different mindset. I don't really
Mm.
know how they see the world, to be
I
honest.
tried. I tried to make some water, like a splash, and it's kind of okay, but I don't really know how to, like, how do you divide an explosion to make it like it has to go into different parts and then disappear at different timings, and it seems to me more complicated than character animation, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, because there are so many elements that you have
Mm.
to think about, right? Like, for example, in a character, you have, just the head, the arms, the torso, and legs, and that's it. But then for an explosion, you have so many other elements, and then, like, it start like breaking apart into many other elements, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that I would get lost in that process, actually.
Yeah, same.
Also, for the color, I don't really think much of the color. It's just like I just put like a random color there. I just wanted to see how it looks,
Mm.
not only just plain white, just like something there just to have a little bit more volume. And here I have a lot more things, shades, eyes. Yeah, it's kind of like every different layer is like just playing with different things. Like I have another layer for color, for like the face,
Mm.
for shadows. Yeah, I try to do everything in different layers. When I am doing the cleanup animation, I try to clean up first the head, so I have all the motion on the head, and then after that I clean up the hands, because the hands are actually something that is difficult for me to sometimes to
Mm.
create like a cohesive motion. So I clean up that after that. It's kind of like, and then it looks like it's a floating head
Yeah.
and then floating hands. And then after I have all of that figured out, I just go with the rest of the body, and then I connected it. And then, yeah, everything starts making more sense at the end, like a whole, like a one character.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's something that I like to do. I like to separate things so that I can focus only on that one thing, the head first, and then I go to the rest of the body.
I think that could help people to know that you can just focus on head, hands, and then make the rest okay. Because sometimes you just
Yeah.
struggle with pose to pose. Like, yeah, I have to make the full character good before anything else on the next frame, and maybe your process should be the right process for someone. So yeah, okay.
Actually, yeah, there's a lot of people that do it all together in the same layer.
Mm.
But for me, it's like, okay, like I need to have. Well, this is one of the things. Like I struggle with like head rotation sometimes. Like if it is like an up or down, I think like you have to find something that the model looks like the same.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's why I try to do it in a different layer so that I can just like try to figure that out. I mean, I have so many layers here. Really, this is just for the body.
Yeah.
So there's
But
so many.
it's needed for some animation just to be organized and not feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You didn't have any model for this one? You just
For this one,
went
no.
straight?
Usually, what I like to do is like once I have this one, it's like, okay, like I want to create like a drawing, that looks similar to that. I do it on Callipeg sometime, or iPad has another app. I don't really remember. I think it's Sketchbook, something like that.
Mhm.
I just go to there and then just draw a character, with similar features. And then I start kind of creating just like a random character, like just like standing. I don't even do the 360.
Mm.
Depending on maybe if it is a little bit more complex, I would do it just to see how it looks. But then I just do like a standing character and then the face, how is the face going to look and how is the body going to look? So this is the character that I created, right? So okay, well maybe I can do something that looks something like that, like a character like this, and maybe the hair can be like that, and maybe the hands are like like very big hands, kind of like a Mega Man, Mega Man.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of that. Okay, well, okay, I can do something similar to Mega Man, but with hair.
Yeah, it's like a Mega Man meeting Astro Boy, maybe.
Exactly, just all together, just
Yeah.
put it all together, mix it up. So that's something that I do. Like when I finish the very rough animation, I just try to create character that is going to be representing that rough, right?
Mm.
Although again, it's not the right process, but I mean, for me, it's just fun to do it that way whenever it's like a personal thing. But then if I have to be like working on a real production, like another project, then there you have to think about other things, or maybe you are provided with that information already, right? We're provided with rotations and model sheets and how the character looks like, and you have to follow exactly those things so that the character keeps on model and everything makes sense. So yeah.
And what is your your relation to drawing? Do you draw? Do you practice drawing? Do you sketch from life often, or did you just do that for a part of your life and now you do it less because you know the fundamentals?
Yeah, I mean, I know the fundamentals. Like some things. I mean, I'm not like the best or anything, but I like to keep practicing. I don't do live drawing. I think that I should do it actually. Just to get used to the proportions and maybe head rotations as well, like, because the head has like different poses that you can do. And I feel like maybe people that do that like get more used to that kind of thing. For me, sometimes I really struggle with like some head rotations or some postures because I don't really practice that part that much. So I feel like it is easier for me to think about like the motion of things like timing and then maybe the performance. But then whenever I have to actually draw it,
Mm.
it can be a little struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have some friends that do that, like they go to live drawing or something. Maybe one day I go join them.
Mm.
I think that it's a good practice, just to get used to the proportions and how some parts of the body rotate and what are the limits of the body. Although in cartoony animation, you can push everything as much as you want. But if you're animating something a little bit more realistic, you have to know how the torso works and how, the head works and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe one day I have to try that. Do you do that? Do you do like some
Uh,
live drawing or something like that?
I don't go to live session, but I draw from I try to draw outside and just drawing what's happening. I want to go a bit more like into cafes and places like that with just a sketchbook and trying to draw people. It's always a bit strange to be the one who
Be
draws
staring
and
at
look.
someone,
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to find some techniques to just look everywhere and not showing that you draw you specifically, you know. But yeah,
That
I
can be
try to do
very
that.
scary.
I try to do that more, but I also draw from photo references, and I try to make some color analyze from work of arts and just pictures, and trying to be good at color also, because when I do my concept art and the backgrounds, which is not my highest skill, I have to be more to be better with colors, but it's not easy.
Yeah. No, not easy. Actually, one thing, I don't really practice color, to be honest, because
No.
one of the things is like I have a little bit of color blindness.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, I mean, I'm just going to animate. I don't really have to worry about color. So usually
Yeah.
when I do color, I just like do like a random color, or I go to Google and take like color references or something like that. But it's like, yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
But
The
yeah,
key is to not go to too many colors. You choose one, and then you just do a bit of like harmony of a few different hues, and then it's okay.
Exactly.
But if you try to make the green perfectly, the grass green and the sky blue and everything in between, it will be too much, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, like you have to just like pick like simple colors and all that. This one is actually the last one, the last animation that I did in Callipeg. Sometimes I just feel, actually, well, in Instagram, I usually never check, but I just noticed that I had like 10K
Yeah.
now, like followers. And that's actually very cool. I want to do something like this, like a cat like presenting 10K,
Mhm.
So it was like a random animation that I did there. And this one is where actually I tried the feature that you added in Callipeg, the onion skin,
Mhm.
where you can actually move the
The
onion skin. That was actually super
in between
useful.
assist.
Yeah, that was very, very useful. I have never used it before. And when I found out about it, I want to use it. And one of the things is that I'm sure you know James Baxter.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I remember like I was watching a video of him. I really love seeing him animating. It's like
Yeah,
a
it
very
seems easy.
big inspiration. No,
You
it
you
seems
watch it
easy,
and you're
right?
like, okay, I can do it too, and then you try and it's no.
No, it's a nightmare. But yeah, he makes it look like super easy. But then
Yeah.
when you're trying to follow it, it's like, oh man, I don't know how he does it. He had like some streaming in YouTube or something like that.
Mm.
He has very long videos, and I watch the whole thing just to see every single thing that he does.
Yeah.
And it's very nice. So I noticed that he uses a lot of onion skin. And I remember before I had some people telling me like, oh no, don't use onion skin. Like if you use onion skin too much, the animation is going to look weird and all that. And I'm like, I mean, James Baxter uses it a lot, and
Mm.
he's like the best animator that I know. But yeah,
I
he,
think
he
it's
was using onion skin.
like the curve, on the beginner and the veteran. It's like you start with an skin, it's not good. Then you tell yourself, I don't have to do it because it will make me better. And once you're better, you just use the tools you had at first, but you understand now how
Yeah.
to use it.
So this is how I started that animation. Just like very rough. And also for this one, actually, I did some planning. So if you see, like looking like this, then to the other side, and then kind of standing up. So for that one, actually, at first, so I did this one. I did the rough first, and then to do the cleanup, I did this. So the cleanup is just like a very quick idea to make it like more readable. Because sometimes when I do rough, it looks very, very sketchy, very rough. So yeah, this is kind of like the part where the cat is sleeping, then when it goes up, and then it looks to the side, and then when it stand up. And then that's what I use as a reference to do the cleanup.
And also, how do you manage the cleanup? Because you stay on the same line for the volume, but we can see a bit of a vibration. So is it just that you just go over the last the previous line and it looks like that, or you specifically work on making it different thickness for the line when you do the cleanup?
No. It's just I just keep drawing. It's
Okay.
just my line, because sometimes there are some drawings are very close together. If you look at the feet or whatever is on the
Mm.
ground, like the feet or the tail, like the drawings are so close together that I have to keep redrawing in the same space. So that's why it is easier to see that something is happening there, right? Like you see the line
Mm.
thickness changing a little bit. That's why. But usually when the motion is bigger, like for example the head, you see it's going up, then going to the side. I think that still the line feels a little boily as well, but it's not as much or not as noticeable as the body, because the body is not moving that
Yeah.
much, and every drawing is so close together that it has that effect. But that's actually an effect that I really like in 2D animation.
Mm.
Like that kind of like, it's not line perfect. It's like very nice,
Yeah.
and it had like that little thing that I really love about animation is like you have it looks like a drawing moving. And even like, for example, if I have to, that's actually an effect that I would like to have in other animation. Let's say if I am animating something cut out in Toon Boom with a rig, everything is perfect, right? Like everything moves and the line is consistent. But it's nice whenever they add an effect that is like a boily
Mhm.
line.
Yeah.
So to have that kind of 2D effect, So I like that. I like to add that. So it's kind of like a little imperfection that looks very, very nice.
And that's also
So
why
yeah,
it takes a lot of time to make to the animation, because I also tend to do this to draw everything again, even if it doesn't move, because you could just animate the head, and if the tail doesn't move, you could put the same drawing, but it will not
exactly.
be as lively.
Yeah. Usually, I've seen some people doing that, where they separate
Mm.
things,
In
and if
production,
there
it
is something that
works because you
yeah,
have to go fast, and sometimes it's not. It's also good looking. Nothing is moving if it's not moving. But if you have time, I guess it's better. I love it too when it's just one
yeah,
frame is run drawing and that's it.
yeah, to save some time, depending on the animation style as well.
Yeah.
For example, if it was Disney, I think the animation is a little bit more work, so you have to redraw every single thing. But if it is like something more like like a TV series or something more cartoony, you have to save time, and also it's
Mhm.
actually nice. You keep one drawing that is not moving, and then if the head is doing the whole acting, just move the head. That we have to think about in production as well, right?
And also for this animation, it's your second animation with this character, so it can start to become someone on its
I
own.
actually, yeah. I because I the first one I did is like the bouncing ball and all that, and I just like a random character that I created. And then I'm like, you know what? It's simple. It's a very simple character. Sometimes I
Mhm.
just want to use it just to animate some quick idea, very simple and very quick, without having. If you see the character, it doesn't have a lot of details. It doesn't have a lot of lines. Like meaning, like it doesn't have clothes. It doesn't have anything that you have to
Yeah,
redraw every single time. And also, it doesn't have any shadows or anything like that. So I mean, yeah, I mean, people already know it from my previous
yeah,
post, so I want to use it again, and maybe I use it again. I don't know, and it becomes like a mascot
yeah,
in the channel, in the Instagram or something, in my account,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I can see that coming. And also, it's like the perfect character because you have the facial expression like of a human. If you want to, you can act like a human. You can act like a cat. So it's
Yeah,
you can make any type of acting really.
actually, yeah, like like there, like looks like an actual cat, but then when it stands, it
Yeah.
like looks like a human. So like, I mean, you can just do anything you want with it. So
Exactly.
that's actually nice. Yeah, but this one, I am already thinking on another thing that I want to create in Callipeg. But yeah, for now, this is the last one that I did
Mhm.
to celebrate the 10K that I had in Instagram. But yeah, I'm thinking on another thing. It's like the reason I am like animating right now is like because I mentioned I want to be on another project where the animation is like a little bit more lively.
Mm.
So usually before entering that project, I like to kind of practice a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to just create another thing, just moving, running, or something like that,
Yeah.
just to get used to it. That's something that I like to do. It's kind of like a warm up. So I kind of try to warm up a little bit, trying to get used to the style. But not all animation is the same style, right? Like there is some animation that is a little bit more serious, where nothing moves as much. But then there's other animation that is more like cartoony and stuff like that. So whenever I know that there is going to be a style that I have to kind of get used to, I try to do like some exercises before getting into a project so that I can maybe, not struggle too much when I am already in the production.
Okay. Did you have some I don't know, like specific challenges on this animation? Something that was difficult to make and uh, that you have to find a solution to animate well. I don't know, like a silhouette that was difficult to make or movement.
It's more like to keep things on model. That's one of the things. Like, for example, this drawing, I kind of like it. Like this little thing, very simple,
Mm.
where the head is kind of looking down, but then I kind of wanted to make the head go up. And like, how do I do it to make it kind of look the same character, like going up? That's one of the things, because I don't really have a reference of this drawing of my cat, this cat that I did. I don't have a model sheet. Like I don't have like, oh, how it looks when it goes up, or how it looks when
Mm.
it goes down, or how does it look when it does like different angles. So I have to kind of come up with different ideas. So like, yeah, one of the things that I struggle the most is the model. When I don't have a model sheet that I can follow, It's kind of like, okay, how do I keep it all in model to make it look like the same cat?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my struggle.
I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and also for this one, you see I have like frames on ones, frames on twos, frames on threes, and even on fours and fives as well.
Mm.
So like the ones that I use with the longest one on four or fives, when the drawings are super close together.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing this on once. Be like too much work, right? But then when there's like a quick action, like for example, like turning, I maybe I do it on ones to make it like more soft,
Mhm.
more smooth. And then when the character doesn't move as much, I just keep it on fours or fives. So that's basically what I do. Like if it is going to be like a quick action on ones or twos, and then whenever there's like a holding, I keep it on fours, fives,
Mm.
because it is
Okay.
like I think it adds a very nice style as well, because there's a lot of animation that I see that like that. I think French animation, I see like animation from Gobelins. You say it like that, right? Gobelins.
Yeah, Gobelin.
So, so I see that like they like to animate like that. Like they kind of animate like on threes or fours. It looks like a little choppy but intentional, which
Yeah.
is actually very nice. I really like that. I think that I have seen some of your work as well. Like you kind of animate like twos, threes. It looks very nice. I like that type of
Yeah, I try
thing. Like
to
it's very intentional.
like some Gobelin students, ex-Gobelin students, made a studio called La Cachette, and they made
Mm.
an episode of Star Wars Vision. For example, they worked on Primal also. They did the animation, so it's really intentional posing, and not one pose is too much. It's only the poses you need to do, but it's like perfectly smooth, and I really like that kind of animation, smooth but snappy at the same time. So that's kind of my goal as an animator. So I try to be intentional and to not put too much frames if it's not needed.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
difficult. To be
Yeah,
simple
no,
is
no,
difficult.
yeah. Yeah, it's difficult actually, but I mean, it's actually worth it at the end.
Thanks a lot for everything you shared here. Of course, I will add your Instagram in the description, and I hope we will maybe talk again about other animation, other projects. And it was really a pleasure to talk together.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure for me. Like as I told you, I just know you from YouTube, but I'm very happy that I'm talking to you right now. And yeah, man, like, just keep doing great stuff with Callipeg. I really love what you guys are doing. I'm excited for any other thing that you guys create.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
but
much.
thank you so much.